Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to another scintillating MiceChat Live here at Disneyland. Today, we're in New Orleans Square to start. We're going to turn this around and take you on an adventure right off the bat because they're getting ready to get rid of something that we have been waiting for them to get rid of for a long, long time. And we're going to show you what it is, how it works, and why it's going away. But first, let me turn this around. We're here at Pirates of the Caribbean, where we have been complaining about it having Lightning Lane for a couple of years now. They added Lightning Lane here because Haunted Mansion went down for an extended refurb. Splash Mountain closed to become Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and they needed another Lightning Lane attraction so that people would pay all that extra money, Mike, to do the Lightning Lane, the front of line thing. But they promised that when those two attractions return, Mansion and Tiana, that they would get rid of Lightning Lane at Pirates, but they never did.
They're late.
Well, the lines have been snaking through New Orleans Square ever since, and they've decided to get rid of the Lightning Lane. So it's officially going to be removed. Suzanne, do you remember what the date is? Yeah, right away. On my birthday, July 1st. So on my birthday, they're going to get rid of Lightning Lane. It's a wonderful birthday present. So why do I hate it? Look, we're walking right in, folks. We're walking right in, and we're not going to have to wait. Mike's going to scan us in. There we go. Mike's scanning us in. And this is how it works. You scan each person's pass that has the Lightning Lane, and then off we go. So we're in right away. Why would I be complaining? I'm complaining because everyone who doesn't have Lightning Lane, so all of those people that you see over here, are moving very slowly because we're getting to ride without waiting. Pirates of the Caribbean is a high-capacity attraction. This one, Haunted Mansion, Small World, these are attractions that don't need Lightning Lane because they already move quickly, and when it doesn't have Lightning Lane, the line just keeps moving. So it's silly to add a service like Lightning Lane that intentionally ruins the line for all the other guests. Let there be a few attractions in the park that are enjoyable to ride and don't have super duper long waits. The other problem is what it does aesthetically to the park with that long switchback line in the middle of the park. Last week we took you in and showed you where a new themed extended queue will likely be built for Pirates. They've already done some of that work by removing the shop at near the exit of the ride. It's now just a seating area. And with the removal of Lightning Lane, it now frees them up to do that project that we've been talking to you about. So we think they're going to make the queuing experience better for Pirates in two ways, by removing the Lightning Lane and also by moving the line around a little bit. So instead of snaking through the center of busy, hot New Orleans Square, it goes through that little shop at the exit, which we will show you when we exit. So stick with us here. The cell phone coverage inside the attraction can be spotty, so if we phase in and out, stay with us. We'll be there with you. If something terrible happens and the whole stream drops on both Facebook and YouTube, we will start over from a new location. So just stick with us, and if you lose us 100%, we'll be back. So you just need to be following us on Facebook and or YouTube to just delete the live videos after, I think it's a month. So you can enjoy it while it's live, maybe watch it later if you miss it, but if you wait too long, poof, it's gone. But at least we have an archive on YouTube.
It'll always be on YouTube.
Pardon me, it was all the beans. The boats ram into each other up here and make this awful noise. The rubber on the front of the boat hits the rubber on the back of the boat in front. But oh, how we love this ride. This will be my second time on the ride today. Mike and I rode it earlier to see if we'd be able to keep cell phone coverage throughout, and it looks like we're going to be lucky today. It is also Stitch Day. It's 626 Day. We have Eric Lowe with us and Suzanne representing Stitch. And even Ando is in his Hawaiian Lilo-esque color. So Ando is Lilo. Suzanne and Eric are going to do a battle royale to determine which one of them is Stitch. So we'll put them into Mortal Kombat later. You'll get to see Stitch yourself if we're lucky a little later in this broadcast. No, not Toontown. I'll tell you where later. It's going to be a big surprise, but we're hopefully going to get to meet Stitch. And for those of you who have been writing me about my epic Knott's Berry Farm event that is coming up on July 5th, it is sold out. And a lot of people are writing to see if they can be on the wait list. Go ahead, write me at events@micechat.com, events@micechat.com, and I will put you on the list. Just let me know how many seats you're looking for. We do have a couple of people already who have said they bought tickets, but they're not able to attend. So who knows, some magic may happen. Mike, we haven't seen a lot of you lately. You've been working hard. Are you excited to be back at Disneyland?
I am. It's a nice break.
Was it fun for you to ride Pirates today, or was it all just work?
No, it's nice.
It's an air-conditioned ride.
For sure. Today, I think today's the hottest out of the last week.
Yeah, it's been hot. You know, I live out in Palm Springs. We had a day, it was 127. And then we had a day that was under 100, so you just never know. But here in Anaheim, which is just less than 2 hours away from where I live, the temperature difference can be 40 degrees.
Yes.
And you also live in the desert.
I do.
Not quite as hot as where I am, but pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. There's probably about a 5-degree difference between us.
But even here at Disneyland, it feels sometimes worse than my home because it's more humid here. We're closer to the ocean. And today's one of those days. We're in the 80s. It's sweaty.
Right.
I'm going to have you ask them. Well, I'll just ask them. There are 5 of us, but can we wait some of us for the front?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to get you all in the front. So we're right up here at the front of the ride already. We've only been on this live for 7.5 minutes or so, and we spent some of that outside talking, so that's how quickly you move. The rest of the queue here is probably, we're probably about, I don't know, 25, 30 minute wait for this attraction. Those of you waiting to board the boat with us and ride Pirates, you can do us a favor. Like, comment, share. It helps this video get a little bit of reach so more people can enjoy what is about to happen, because we're taking you all for a journey into the bayou, and not the one with Louis and Tiana, but the other one with bloodthirsty pirates. My favorite. You know, there was a plan for some time to turn Splash Mountain into a pirate-style ride, not here at Disneyland, but in another Disney park. That would have been neat, a pirate mountain. And I can't remember now if that was originally planned for Paris or Hong Kong, but it was for one of the foreign parks, and they would get their first Splash Mountain, but not themed to Song of the South, but rather to Pirates of the Caribbean. That never happened, but I still think it would be a great idea. Here we go. We won't be doing much talking during this ride. We want you all to be able to enjoy it. I don't want to disturb everyone else in the boat, although it is just our crew in the road behind me. But for those of you who haven't been here before, that is the Blue Bayou on your right. You can actually dine there. Linda Rain is commenting on the video, and we got to talk to her briefly today at lunch at Plaza Inn. So glad that you took the time to join us on the live, even though you're in the park today. Thank you, Linda.
My friend Tiana says hello.
So there's some darkness here if you're just joining us. We haven't forgot to turn the camera on. We're just on Pirates of the Caribbean. But I think Mike knows too much. He's seen an evil curse. He knows where it be hidden. We'll see what happens.
I'm always the one getting us in trouble.
Seek an adventure and solve a but keep a weather eye open, please, and hold on tight with both hands. There be squirrels.
Squirrels. There be squirrels ahead. Christina, we're at Disneyland as always. You can smell it from the front seat. To recalibrate here a little bit because that was quite the drop. This ride is so brilliant compared to the Florida version. It really develops the tension here at the beginning with the caves. Very little motion other than the water. Slowly builds, more action. Happening on both sides. That bar scene with the dead pirates drinking and then the captain back there. Mike, you've heard the rumor.
Yes.
That the skull on the headboard of the captain's bed is an actual human head. And I believe that's true.
I think it is.
It's the only skull that looks that way. It's much larger than all the others.
Evil curses, says you. Properly warned ye, says I. Who knows when that evil curse will strike the greedy beholders of this bewitched treasure.
Such All right, that's the key moment, folks. Did you see the skeleton turn into a live pirate? The one in the cage there? That is the moment at which the story shifts from the pirates being dead in the past to a little bit further forward into the future when they're still alive. So it's a key transition point that's fairly new. Added some years ago as an enhancement to the ride. This helps explain why suddenly you're out of the caves and pirates. To think about the time period that this was built, folks, the 60s, and what a masterpiece this attraction was. Just the amount of little story vignettes, all of these animatronics, the beautiful music. And this is the scene that updated the auction scene where the women were being sold off. Now the auction scene is them auctioning off pirated goods from the village. Still a good scene. Instead of what the I offered for this winsome wench, it's what the I offered for these hardy hens. Same idea. Not as offensive.
Fool have I did, by God. Sir Johnny wants Captain Jack Sparrow. You'll never find the train.
As a kid, I thought those cats were real. I think I always knew pirates weren't real because they look like cartoons, but the animals all looked real to me. So I thought for sure there were real cats and chickens and a donkey and a dog in there.
He's kind of funny, kind of bug-eyed.
If I had to pick a favorite pirate in the ride, it would be this hat pirate with all the hats on his head. I've always just loved this figure. Look how cool he is. And you see the hair on the leg of this pirate. What an incredible figure this is. So realistic. Scary.
Looking after the news, good, all in all. I am my side. My job, and then with us.
This scene has lost a little of its punch. It's hard for you all to see in the dark, but there's timbers above us, a lot of burning timbers. So this is the burning, you know, the remnants of the burning scene that you saw before. But all of this used to shift around and creak and groan like it was going to collapse on you. That doesn't happen anymore, and they've tied everything off to the ceiling and lit it so you can see that it is not going to collapse. And I think that happened because some guests jumped out of the boat here afraid that this was really on fire and going to collapse. So a little too real. So they've neutered it so that nobody will be afraid.
This is another product.
But it really did used to scare me when I was younger. I thought for sure that was going to collapse on us.
Oh, me too.
The barrels.
The barrels is one of them, and one of them is a lot more difficult to see. I can't remember. One of them is much more difficult.
All right.
It's the suit of armor on the left hand
On the left-hand side. So the barrels there, right in center screen, are a hidden Mickey. The barrel at the bottom with 2 barrels above, not so great. And then there's a suit of armor on the wall over here. And what about it is the hidden Mickey, Mike?
There's actually a depiction on the coat of arms.
Oh, they'll never see that on this video, but if you can find it, folks, there's also on the armor hanging on the wall back there, another hidden Mickey. This guy. So there used to be 2 pirates pulling some treasure up the hill. Some years ago they were replaced by Captain Jack Sparrow.
I should take this for you, son. Start to pick up my expenses. Adventure with yours. Look up me, I'm so old. Yo, ho, yo, ho, the world's like for me. A toast to piracy and its many shiny rewards. As a career to be rewarded. Drink up me, ho, so ho. I humbly accept this magnificent treasure as my reward for life of villainy, larceny, skullduggery, and vicinity. Drink up for me, hearties, yo ho.
For some reason, I remember this as we got higher up the hill, the pirates like they were alive and screaming from
Well, they never did here, but you see the bats, and you return to modern times on the hill.
Yeah.
There's a really famous scene with Walt
When
Disney
next you sail,
where he's showing off a model of the attraction, and he says to the then ambassador of the park, "You know how we're going to get them down there in the world of the pirates?" And she says, "You can go down the waterfall." And he said, "That's right." And then at the end he says, "You know how we're going to get them back again?" She said, "We're going to go back up the waterfall." She's a smart girl. It was a different time. You wouldn't get away with that today. Walt would have been straight in HR. Beautiful ride. Many, many changes to this ride over the years. The ones I think work the least well are the Captain Jack Sparrow ones, and a lot of people loved the Pirates movies, and that's why they did it. But the pirates in that attraction are meant to look cartoony. They're not meant to look like actual human beings. So close to being, they look human to you, but cartoony, funny. But the Jack Sparrow and the Barbossa figures look real. And so they don't match the look or feel. And my problem with animatronics that look too real is it's uncanny. You don't really believe it's Jack Sparrow because he looks a little plasticky and he moves a little bit stiff. It feels wrong. Whereas the cartoony pirates, you don't mind at all that they move, a little bit stiff because they're cartoony.
Right. And I think several years ago they actually had Johnny Depp in August.
He's done that a couple of times now where he has jumped into one of the scenes and then surprised guests or been on the stairs above the entrance to the ride And of course, Disneyland gets video for the social media channels, so it's all staged. Of course, it's better than the night Lindsay Lohan was here for her birthday and got drunk, and she was still underage.
Not a good scene.
We did get a little bit wet.
Just a touch.
How's the video quality, everybody? Any spots on the screen? I see a few little light flecks, but I'm reluctant to wipe the lenses because I don't want to make it worse. But if we need to, we will, so let us know. Yeah, Evan, that's my point about talking about those pirates is we will hopefully get to that point in the show where we can point out the Walt Disney Animatronic show that's coming on July 4th. And I've seen that figure, and he's amazing, looks alive. But that may be a bridge too far. Bringing a human figure to the point of it being absolutely real when you know that person is dead,
Yes.
is that too much?
Not related, but related. I remember seeing the Irwin kids when they saw the wax figure of their dad, Stephen, and it was probably one of the most emotional things that I've seen in a long time. And I kind of wanted the same thing.
Emotional in a good way or a bad way?
I think it started off like in a state of shock, and then turned into a reminiscent good way.
Right. Because when a famous person dies, it's been, for centuries common for a statue to be erected or a portrait to be drawn. But that's different because Right. Thank you. My shirt is soaked, so I did get wet a little bit.
You know where else there's a bunch of realistic looking animatronics? Like Hall of Presidents there.
Yep. And that's always been weird, particularly for the modern day presidents who are still alive,
Right.
because they never look real, right? It's clear that they're robots. But they didn't want to do that with Walt. Somebody explained, Walt made a Lincoln figure, so why would that be any different than Disney making a Walt figure? Well, the difference is there's no one alive today that ever met Abraham Lincoln, and there's no video of him or audio recordings of him. So we don't know exactly what he sounded like. We don't know how he moved and all of that. So he was just a representation. He was an homage to a president, a way for you to be connected closer to his story. But there are hundreds of hours of Walt talking and so forth. So we talked about at the beginning of this attraction how the queue might be rerouted. We've done this before, but you would go under the bridge there that goes up to the Dream Suite and go across this patio here, back and forth, and then inside those doors.
Much too easy to remove a few tables to make this happen,
Everything here is temporary, so
Yeah.
all of this gets removed. These tables, as you can see, they're just tables. They're nothing special. And you'd switch back in this room, and the air conditioning and the theme with the tables removed is a nice spot. Boom, boom, boom. And then you come out here through this door, go underneath the bridge, and then you're inside the attraction. So you would queue up at the entry to the attraction, underneath the bridge there where we entered. Queue in the garden downstairs, then come up here and queue where we just looked. And I think that'd be a nice way to get people out of New Orleans Square. Of course, right now, and every time we do the video, things start to clear out here about this time. People get ready for dinner. They're going to find spots for the nighttime shows and spectacular. Disney starts getting ready for Fantasmic. We can see the cast members walking the stage right now, getting ready for Fantasmic. I think we're gonna go off to our left, Mike.
Okay.
Hello, my darling, how are you? Wonderful. I'm glad you tracked us down. You're an expert sleuth.
My daughter's in pressing pennies.
She's pressing pennies.
Yes.
Now, what is she going to do? I want her to write me and tell me when they do away with the penny, which they've announced they're going to do, what's she going to do for a hobby? Is she going to press dollars? Quarters? Nickels?
Oh,
Yep.
medallions, yeah.
Yep. I'm sure that's what they're going to do. We love you, but we've got to keep moving. And mwah, I'm sending
Good to
you
see
hugs
you.
and kisses. I'm so glad to see you looking well. Kathleen has done Gumball Rally with her daughter, so she's severely disabled in a wheelchair, has had extended months-long hospital stays in the last couple of years, and she still manages to do Gumball Rally every year.
She does.
And it just, obviously she doesn't finish strong like some of the younger teams,
No,
but for
daughters
her,
have so much fun.
that's it. It's about spending time together, challenging themselves.
Absolutely.
So I just love seeing her. She brings a smile to my face. I'm crying a little.
Definitely inspirational.
We sat over here at Tiana's a little earlier, Mike, and noticed they've changed out the covering in there. It used to be kind of streamers of fabric with large spaces of sky between them, and they've pretty much connected them all now, so you're completely shaded inside. See how dark it looks in there.
Much nicer.
It was very comfortable.
Yes. Especially when there's a breeze that comes through.
Yep. So the new trees and gardens they planted here are still pretty lame. Look at this.
I'm trying to
It's
figure out if
still
those
a lot
are
of
supposed
dirt.
to be there, if that's just weeds.
These are plants, and that is like a Japanese style tufted grass. When this all grows in, it'll be a little nicer, but there's no color here. There's no statue or bird bath or anything visually spectacular about this at all. And I know they say they don't want to compete with the roots of the newly planted tree, but some bedding plants with their, fairly surface roots anyway would be fine.
Yeah.
Put some color in there, please. Some ground cover that blooms, anything.
That would be really nice. Something to accent.
That's the bitch part of the title, and I think we said it's a stitch and bitch with a glitch.
With a glitch.
And we'll talk about the stitch part and the glitch part, but we are already doing the bitch part, which really accomplished that.
Yes.
Wait time is 31 minutes for Haunted Mansion. Today is a much different, it's a tale of two cities today.
Oh, yeah.
Last week, the park was so crowded on Thursday, which was Juneteenth, a lot of people off work, busier than we'd seen it at least in a year.
Yeah.
Crazy busy. And today, lovely.
It's been nice.
Even though the lines are longish, 30 minutes for Mansion isn't unheard of. It is a lightning lane attraction. If they got rid of the lightning lane, it'd be 15 minutes.
It would. And it's funny because we're talking about Lightning Lane going away for pirates, and I think that's going to kind of be a thing where is Disney going to admit that Lightning Lane adds time?
I would like to see them. I mean, it doesn't matter how many attractions. They can have 4 attractions with Lightning Lane.
Yeah.
And if it covers Space Mountain and Big Thunder and Tiana, people are going to buy it.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless. So pull it off the attractions that don't need it. Just give it to people for those big e-tickets and leave it at that. Did you want to look at the waterfall, Mike?
It's not on again.
So the waterfall itself is off. It's really hard to see right now because we're looking into the sun.
Yeah.
But this was behind Scrims for a while they fixed the waterfall and repainted it. When it came back out, Mike was really horrified to see that they just painted it a solid color.
Still horrified.
There's no fake moss on it. It hasn't been colorized to match the rocks around it. And the waterfall's already broken.
It is. They just got the thing working.
How are you feeling? The maintenance team done a good job on this, Mike? I mean, I feel bad because sometimes it's not entirely their fault.
Right.
They have old equipment, like old pumps for the previous attraction. It's, I'm sure, left over from Splash Mountain. So who knows what shape that pump is in. It may not be in the budget to replace the pump. And so they have to fix it. And sometimes that's easily done. And sometimes they just give up. Like, why are we keep fixing this unimportant thing when there are other things in the park that we have to fix? And I'm sure there's a lot of that goes into it, and then it ends up on a long-term budget for somebody to someday replace the pump.
Important things to fix? You mean like the grass on top of the...
We're going to look at that right now. This is horrific. We're on the back side of Lewis's raised berets. And we showed you this last week as well. Over the last 4 weeks or so, the grass on the roof has slowly been dying, and now it's officially dead. They had I think you remember, ferns up there when this was Splash Mountain country, and the ferns never died.
I just had this weird feeling that they're waiting for this to die. They're going to rip all this out.
Put something fake up
They're going to
there.
replace it with fake. Yeah.
I mean, fake would be better than dead. And
yeah.
look at the mountain. It's all fake, so at least... But the difference between the mountain fake, which is far away...
It's far away. Yeah.
The fake here would be noticeable.
For sure.
So put ferns back. They worked,
agree.
and they're still appropriate for a bayou.
I think so.
Shall we
appropriate than
head
that,
into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Ondo?
Sure.
Let's do it. It's Stitch Day. It's not the right alien, but it is aliens.
Close enough.
Who knows? We might see Baby Grogu. And it's funny, I've seen so many people today with Grogu shirts on, and of course a million Stitch shirts. A lot of people know it's Stitch Day.
Oh, yeah.
They came to Disneyland today to show off their...
Or Stitch Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Suzanne. Did we already lose Eric? Oh, he's in the restroom. It's a good thing we didn't put the mic on him. Eric forgets that he's on the mic sometimes. There was a day, his friend Darren was here in the park, and it was just Eric and I think, for the live that day, and I had the mic on Eric, and he was just having a full-on conversation with Darren the whole time that I was walking around forgetting he was mic'd up. When I went back and listened to the live, it's just, you hear all of his conversations. It's a salty one.
It's kind of like having an open mic when you're...
It's open mic night at the MiceChat Disneyland Live. Let's take a moment to enjoy this river. We were on the bayou just a minute ago, enjoying Pirates of the Caribbean. And now we're on the actual river here, and just look at the beauty of this and ask yourself, why would Imagineering ever want to get rid of something so peaceful and beautiful and integral to the separation of spaces in the park? What's on the other side of this river? The insanity of the hub area and all the people and loud crowds. But here, this peaceful river with the Mark Twain and the Columbia and the canoes. And years ago, I hear tell, there were even some other, what do they call those boats, Suzanne? The, oh shoot, they're right on the top of my head. The
keel boats?
Keel boats.
Yep.
There's one parked back here. Of course, the keel boats stopped running because one keeled over with guests on board. So it actually flipped over. They were kind of top heavy, and they allowed guests to stand on top, and just got a little too top heavy, went around the corner too fast and fell over. No one died, but it was not a situation Disneyland wanted to repeat, so they pulled them from service. But really, that's a lot of river traffic.
It is.
You have rafts to Tom Sawyer's Island, canoes, 2 big boats, and the keel boats. But when you're going on the train, you see it right back there, center screen, at the edge of. They parked one there just as a decor.
Yeah.
Disneyland Railroad going by. As we pass under the railroad, we are transitioning from our universe to a galaxy far, far away. In fact, the minute we step foot into where we are right now, suddenly the cast members no longer know that they're in Disneyland.
And the temperature goes up 15 degrees.
That's how you know you're in another galaxy. Now at Epic Universe, that transition is truly epic because...
I have to point this out.
Yeah, please.
Look what I'm doing.
Look at that. It's not often that you can walk on this side because it's almost always set up for queue. So you know that today is not expected to be busy because they don't have the queue for the attraction fully extended all the way over into this area. But what I was saying before, and we're going to look back at the entry tunnel there, it was just a bridge with a train going over it. At Epic Universe, they have a huge portal with effects happening inside it that really indicate to you that you are being transported from the hub area to a different world. That would have really worked well for Galaxy's Edge. Now, they do have 2 tunnels on the other side of the land that I think work a little bit better to transport you. But how cool would it have been if you were in some way transported to Galaxy's Edge? Either via an attraction, like a Star Tour type of thing where you got on a simulator and then it dumps you out into a different world.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Or even by a tunnel like they did at Epic with some video projection and things happening inside and sounds, what have you. How's the wait time? 40 minutes? 40 minutes for Rise of the Resistance.
Not bad.
That is fantastic. Now that is a Lightning Lane attraction. You have to pay extra for that one. So it doesn't work with your regular Lightning Lane. You got to have that Lightning Lane single selection. Oh, I think it's still very confusing. Just get rid of all the separate types of Lightning Lane and just charge separately for every Lightning Lane attraction. That will encourage people not to use it for everything. It will keep all the lines shorter and jack that price way up. You want to ride Rise of the Resistance, you know, make it $30. Make it that way for close to every attraction that they have it on. Very few people are going to want to do it for Space Mountain and for Big Thunder and for Rise of the Resistance.
I think the Lightning Lane prices here, even for the individual, like for Rise, is still far cheaper than Knott's Berry Farm and Magic Mountain for their fast lane passes.
Evan, I agree with you. There are better transitions in Galaxy's Edge than they are for most of the lands at Disneyland. Some of which are just pathways that just lead you from one land to the other. I think the best is going through the castle and then landing in Fantasyland, which is the most epic transition of any land next to Cars Land. If you enter from the San Francisco area into Cars Land, you get that amazing entrance there that really works. Yeah, beautiful. We're going to avoid most of the marketplace right now just because there's nothing new, and I'm avoiding the people. I'm enjoying this wide open pathway.
It's nice. It's actually very pleasant today.
And you're more likely to run into characters here than you are inside the busy marketplace. Although today it appears no characters. You might see somebody up ahead. Who are you hoping to run into, Suzanne?
You.
Well, you found me. Am I on the light side of the force, the dark side, or somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between.
I agree. Dark side.
Oh, look. Speaking of running into somebody.
Who do we run into?
Somebody that's in between.
Oh, it's a Boba Fett.
It's a Boba Fett.
It's a Boba Fett. We're here for a reason today. We're not just passing through. Our Christy Weinberg wrote an article just this morning that I published at 6 a.m. because that's when the embargo lifted. She went to a press event this week where Coke announced a collaboration with Lucasfilm and Disney Parks. So they call it, I believe, Coke X.
Refresh Your Galaxy.
That's right, but it's Coke X Star Wars Refresh Your Galaxy. So it's all those collaborations, you know, the thing with the X, it's Disney X, Lily Pulitzer, you know, and they are coming out with 30 themed Coke bottles. Now, the first themed Coke bottles for Disney were these. They've done them for years, all over the place, but in the parks, they had these really cool Star Wars Coke bottles that are round. People would buy them and TSA would say you can't bring that bomb onto a plane, and Disney had to work with TSA to get them approved for planes. So now you can safely bring your Coke bottle onto a plane. But the new 30 Coke bottles, although there are some exclusive to the Disney parks, will not be sold here in Galaxy's Edge. So they'll still have these 3. Why will they not have any of those?
They don't fit the storyline.
They don't fit the storyline of Galaxy's Edge. In Arabesh, that's right. But you will find them in the parks. You'll see them in Tomorrowland and elsewhere. Yeah. And they'll be here and at Walt Disney World. But the rest of those 30 Coke bottles will be available in a store near you. So Queen Amidala, Leia, they wanted to include characters from all of the movies, but they wanted to reinforce the stories of hope and resilience, and also they're trying to tie this whole campaign into community. So they're really tapping into social media influencers, kind of how we got invited. Christy did a lot of story today on our Instagram. Be sure to check out our Instagram, watch the reel, see the link to our story, then go over to our story and look at all the content there. It's great. She really knocked herself out on this. And read the article on MiceChat. It's huge, but it goes into the history of Disney's long relationship with Coke. Think Coke Corner, the refreshment corner at Disneyland. It's an opening day attraction or restaurant. Still there after all of these years.
If you want a bowl of Walt's chili, or was the chili bowl? Or,
Still a chili bowl there.
Yeah.
Hot dog.
Yeah.
A cool, refreshing, ice cold Coca-Cola. We're on the back side of Thunder. One of my favorite spots in the park is this trail. It has changed dramatically over the years. The trail itself was built by Tony Baxter when this mountain went in. So this was part of an attraction where we're walking through now. Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland was here. Conestoga wagons. You could ride a donkey, a little pony. And Tony turned it into the wildest ride in the wilderness there, Big Thunder Mountain, and they were able to build this pathway around the back to get you from Frontierland all the way to Fantasyland. So it made a lot of sense for the park, gave them an e-ticket, it kept the theme of the land, and allowed them to build this walkway. The walkway itself has moved because when they built Galaxy's Edge, they needed to cut into this walkway a bit. They also took out a piece of the Rivers of America.
It's just after that left-hand turn, the first left-hand turn of the Disneyland Railroad.
Made a left-hand turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah.
But it still keeps the idea of a wild wilderness trail, very deserty, feels like home.
Oh, yeah. I like that they've kept some elements, like hints of the old Nature's Wonderland.
Throughout.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then,
There's some teetering rocks up above by the railroad there. They added the hitching post where the mail comes through. Wild West details. There's some actual antiques in the area, kind of piled up in places like that. Some actual vintage antiques that Disneyland has had over the years. Fewer and fewer of those in the park because, of course, that era is further and further away. Those kinds of things are more and more expensive to get, and why just leave them out in the sun? There's a lot of reproductions now, but I love, for example, this old mining equipment here. It's on the backside of Big Thunder. Guests just walk by right by this. They don't even pay the second thought to it, but think of the details there. There's a mine shaft entrance. There's this old mining equipment. Does this put you into the theme of the area? It's fantastic.
Yes, it does.
And the horticulture here, it's all just perfect.
And something that a lot of people don't notice because it's almost impossible to see, but when you're in the Disneyland Railroad, you look at that tunnel that goes into Kingstown Station.
Yeah.
There are 3 posters, one of which is for Rainbow Caverns.
Yep.
One is for the the Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland. Is that what it was called?
Yep.
And the third poster,
Conestoga wagons.
yes. You have to hope that your eyes adjust real quick to see them.
Yep. Ando says he's not a big soda drinker, but he will definitely buy a couple of cans. I plan on buying my favorite characters. Think about it this way, folks. It is the cheapest souvenir you can buy in the park.
Yeah.
There are 4 exclusive cans or bottles for the parks. It's worth buying one of those and bringing it home. In fact, the round bottle, I've never drank one. I have bought many of them, but they all just end up on a shelf or given away.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of buying yourself a snack?
Until I saw the price.
Eric said he was thinking of buying a snack until he saw the price.
That's a dilemma that I face often.
If he can't get it cheap on Facebook Marketplace, he doesn't want it. Roses are blooming. This is a new rose right here. It hasn't had much of a chance to grow in, but there's this one standard rose in this whole garden. That's it, just this one rose. But it's blooming and it looks pretty, and it's got a kind of Mickey pattern to it there.
Like an upside down hidden Mickey.
Upside down hidden Mickey. We have to make our way to Tomorrowland. Is there something going on over there that we don't want to miss?
And I have an idea for Tomorrowland when we get there.
All right.
I think you make Disney some good money because they need more.
I love it. That's what I want to do. I want to make Disney more money.
Or it could make us more money.
I like that idea even better, Mike. There's a princess over here.
Was it Princess of Avalon or something?
I think it might be. Is that who that is, Suzanne?
Yes, Elena.
It's Elena of Albacore. Hello.
I saw that dirty look she gave you for saying that.
She didn't like that. Mike, we're just going to walk past. You and I rode this. Oh, there's the evil queen. She's a beauty. Oh, I love a diva. And she is the best. But behind her is another villain, Mr. Toad, who threw one of his slate roofing tiles at a guest and injured them. They have since made some adjustments to the roof, adding a little retainer around the bottom so that if a slate tile should slide off, it would hopefully get caught by the new retainer and not hurt or kill the guests. We rode the attraction. We risked our lives.
We did.
We rode the attraction today.
We felt it was worth it for everybody.
It's wonderful.
Yes, it is.
I love that ride. It is worth risking your health and safety to ride Mr. Toad. I loved it.
Now the good news is I'm tall enough where if a slate did come off,
You just put your hand up and hold it up there?
stop it. Exactly.
So we saw a few characters there in Fantasyland, more than we saw in Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of attractions. Think about that. In Fantasyland, all the attractions are touching each other, and there's so many. You have Alice and the Teacups, Storybook Land, Casey Jr.
And the kids aren't bad.
Yeah, the four dark rides in the center section with the carousel, and of course Alice over here. Carousel itself. There's just so many attractions packed into a tight space.
Mm-hmm.
In a space, about the same size, at least that portion of Fantasyland as Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge sprawls across the whole back of the park. It only has the 2 attractions. Maybe one day we'll see them utilize some of these thoughts. Big construction walls remain up, scrims all along in front of all of the water features of the Matterhorn. So they're obviously working on the persistent problems of the decay that water causes to the structure, but also the waterfalls themselves needed a lot of maintenance.
Well, it's a very old structure.
Yep.
On top of that.
There's a lot of wood and chicken wire and like plaster and concrete type substances used to create that mountain. Over the years, it's been undermined by earthquakes and weather and water from those waterfalls and the rain.
You have the tracks that actually go through water in one small area, but it still stays wet. It drags water across.
Across the whole attraction. Yep.
There's rust going to be happening.
Yep. So it's an attraction that just requires a lot of work, but they're willing to do it every year. Hello, how are you? Oh, it's nice. One of the park area managers waved and said hello, Dusty.
I like they put these.
Isn't that wonderful?
posters up.
You can see how the attraction was built. In fact, we can see here the model of the attraction. Kind of an early version that Bob was working on, Bob Gurr. Speaking of Bob, a very special thing happened last week, Mike.
You did.
Bob called me into his studio and invited me to come on the Bob Gurr Show. I wasn't expecting to have Bob Gurr interview me for an hour. I've interviewed him countless times, but it was a surreal moment. I almost cried. It was so to have a true legend invite me to be on his show so he could interview me.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. So if you go onto YouTube, search Bob Gurr Show and see the show with Dusty Sage. It was really charming to have him there. I can't bring myself to watch it, so you all will have to let me know how I did. Can't stand to hear myself talk. But I don't mind you all hearing me talk. A lot of geese around the parks. You see what looks like a big duck Those are not ducks, right? What is that?
Those are ducks.
Is that a duck?
Yeah, those are just really
All
big
right.
ducks.
Big ducks.
Big geese.
But we
and
saw
they're-
some geese and their
and
babies.
they're goslings, yeah.
They were ugly goslings.
They were still working on
They were
growing
not
feathers.
Ryan goslings. They were ugly goslings. How cute would that be? Someone needs to make a Photoshop of that for me. I want the geese and their Ryan goslings.
I don't think that would be difficult to do.
Lots of work was going on here earlier. We could hear the workers inside the mountains, so they're hard at work here. But what I had been started to say, and as I so often do, Mike, I see something shiny and I change the topic and I never finish my thought. But the mountain will go down for sometimes months.
Oh yeah.
And you'll see them welding off pieces of track and welding new pieces in and replacing giant chunks of the mountain. They even had a few chunks fall off and hit the track. As far as I know, no guests were injured, but it was enough to scare Disney into upping the maintenance schedule. And sometimes the attraction is even down twice a year.
It is, and it's a major, those water features are a major focus to them.
Suzanne, I think it's time for you and Mike to trade places. I want you to point at each other and say, I want to be you. A Freaky Thursday. Now we've got our Suzanne in the co-pilot seat because you wanted us to come over here and see who.
Well, Stitch, but he's not out right now.
But this is Stitch's interplanetary beach party?
Yes. And usually he's out, and
But-
then other characters come out in their interplanetary outfits. But I was hoping that for 626 Day, that Stitch's cousins would be here.
Oh, I don't see. They might have been out for a little bit. And my favorite is Clarabelle. So if it's Stitch Day 626,
Yes, they did not announce anything for 626 Day, but this morning when I checked the app for character meet and greet, I saw that Stitch did have a meet and greet today at EPA. So he was in front of stage 12, and we got in line around 1:55, and the wait time was over an hour to meet Stitch. So we did get to meet him, and he was awesome.
I love Stitch. Eric you are Stitch. This is Eric's regular attire. A Stitch shirt, a Stitch pin, a Stitch Huggy Pal, Stitch backpack, Stitch shoes, yes. You're all stitched out.
Earlier, I saw a fellow Stitch fan. His name is Julian. He came up to say hi and had to show me his Stitch plush. So I told him I would send him a shout out during the show. Julian and his little sister Victoria. Thanks for coming up to say hi
That's
earlier.
so sweet.
Ready? Here we go. Yeah. Louder. Here we go. Yeah.
So they'll have fun till the daddy takes the T-bird away. Fun till your daddy takes your T-bird away. All right, I had to get out of that. It's too much happiness for me. Mike,
Yes.
artichoke in bloom alert.
Oh,
See
yeah.
that beautiful artichoke right there with the beautiful blue tufting?
That is something I've never seen.
If you don't eat your artichoke and you just grow them to bloom, that's what they look like. Unbelievable. Tell me again the names of the kids that stopped you in downtown Disney.
Yes, Julian and
Victoria and their parents. And you said that you would give them a shout out. So kids, you are famous.
Yes.
You're MiceChat famous. We love it. We love it that we have young fans. And they're obviously watching for the Suzanne segment of the show. So today, Suzanne, we had Stitch at DCA. You were sure Stitch was going to be at Disneyland, so you made your park reservation for Disneyland.
Yes.
Then you saw that Stitch was going to be out at DCA, and you were crushed.
Yes. And it said that he was going to appear in the afternoon starting at 2:30, so I got over there at 1:45, and they were already lining people up, and they brought him out earlier at 2 o'clock because the demand was so high.
That's awesome. In fact, at one point they told you the wait would be over 2 hours.
Well,
And then it only ended up being like an hour.
yeah. But I would have waited 2 hours.
I just kind of walked up to the front since I wasn't meeting him and I wanted to check out the situation, and people were taking their sweet time. So they were taking multiple pictures and bringing different family members in and out and having Stitch sign their autograph books and
And
like
doing
really
selfies
oh
with
my
him
gosh,
in addition to photo pass.
I think when a line is that long,
Yeah.
it's a little rude.
Yeah.
And guests should, you know, even though you want to spend a lot of quality time with the character, when people are waiting up to 2 hours, you move things along. Yeah, there was no shade. They were queued up there in front of the old Hollywood and Dine building, which will go away for the new Avatar Land. But wonder why they couldn't use the inside of Hollywood Dine for that meet and greet.
Right, or stage 17 inside.
A lot of the old theming for the restaurant is still there. Remember they set up Flynn's arcade in there for a while? That was neat. That's from Tron, for those of you who are too young to remember Flynn. Hello, hello, hello. Another MiceChatters. Wonderful, wonderful. I got some good news.
Yes.
We're planning a MiceChat trip in October to Orlando to see Epic Universe, Walt Disney World, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, sip and nibble around Epcot's Food and Wine Festival. Contact Teresa at fairygodmothertravel.com for all the details. And that's not just for you, that's for everybody online right now. They should do it, shouldn't they?
That sounds like fun.
MiceChat trips
honestly
are
gonna be
the best.
seeing if I can do it.
All right. Well, I wish you would. Can I give you a hug?
Yes,
All right.
a hug.
Yay. I'm so glad when we see friends out and about. But we are in a mad dash here because our journey is in extra innings. But because we started on an attraction that takes a long time, Pirates is one of the longest rides, if not the longest ride in the park. I think Rise of the Resistance is probably longer now. But it used to be Pirates Mansion and Small World were the long rides. You really get your money's worth for the wait on those, and they are all the highest capacity rides as well.
Yeah.
So not only do you get on the ride quickly, but they're a super long experience. So really, the height of Disney attraction design in my mind. Much better than waiting an hour for Gadget's Go Coaster and then having it over in 30 seconds. Something looks different here at Star Tours. What's that window or panel that's just white with a seam in the middle? Do you see that there to the left?
That's the overflow queue.
Right up there, just to the left of the...
Oh.
There that was.
I see nobody in line.
Well, yeah, there's no one in line for Star Tours, at least on the outside.
Right.
15-minute wait right now for Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters.
15 for Star
15 for Star Tours, which is contained entirely on the interior of the attraction. That's great.
Yeah.
So this time of night, people are getting tired. They're either going back for a little break at their hotel and then coming back for the nighttime spectaculars, or they're having dinner somewhere.
Just wait till we reach 100 degrees.
Yeah, I was thinking we would take people over to Pixie Hollow, but we're going to skip it. We showed it last week. No change from last week.
No.
Pixie Hollow is supposed to open in 2 days. Mike,
Yeah.
does it look like it's ready to open?
Not even close. I would love to say yes, but
I saw people going into that area, like Disney people.
Uh-huh.
Something going on in there.
It's going to be a new shop to buy magic bands.
oh god.
And all the interactive fairy lights and fairies in there. If you want to see a fairy, you got to tap your magic band. I'm making that up, folks. And do not listen. Mike, did we skip your thing where we were going to make money in Tomorrowland?
We did.
What was it?
It's okay. Stroller parking.
Mike, you have hit on the ultimate idea. Like a Genie Lightning Lane type of service for strollers.
Right.
And there would be large stroller parking lots. When you go in, it locks your stroller into place so it doesn't get stolen, but you pay every time you lock your stroller in, just like using a locker. And that would encourage only people who really, really need a stroller to bring a stroller to the park. And then maybe we would see fewer strollers. So
Maybe.
I don't have a kid, so it's easy for me to say. But we're going to have, right now, we've just unleashed global nuclear war.
Or, hear me out.
All right, I'm listening.
You and I rope an area off, and we tell people, you can pay us and we'll watch your stroller for you.
Wow. And we can hire high school kids to babysit the strollers.
We could.
I like it. Wait times look really low right now. Star Tours, 15 minutes. Snow White, 10. Indiana Jones, only 35 minutes. Rise of the Resistance and Space Mountain are at 50. And Tiana, because a hot day, 80 minutes. 80 minutes for Tiana.
That's
She's
the longest
finally,
wait.
I feel like in the last couple of weeks, Tiana's attraction suddenly making sense because it opened and the waits were short, and now,
Well, considering I think it opened in the winter.
It opened in January,
Yeah.
I think.
no, that's a lot of balloons over here.
And bubbles.
Balloons and bubbles. They should fill a balloon with bubbles, and then if it pops, it releases bubbles.
That's an adorable picture. A little girl dressed in the Cinderella dress in front of the balloons.
A lot of balloons.
Oh, we didn't talk about the glitch part.
Well, we should talk about the glitch because not only was the glitch in part that the wait times for Stitch and the times he would be out were wrong, a glitch, but they announced something.
Today for 626 Day that in development is Lilo and Stitch 2. So originally the animated version, Lilo and Stitch 2, was called Stitch Has a Glitch. So our glitch
Oh,
today.
so Stitch has a glitch. So we should have called it Stitch Has a Glitch and Dusty's a Bitch. Here's another one of those Coke references here. You see Coca-Cola all over the signs here at Refreshment Corner, which is why most people call this Coke Corner. Beautiful with the 70th banners. We're coming right up on the 70th, folks.
We are. 2 weeks away?
Yep, with new things. We pointed out the Children of the Corn are in their 4th of July outfits. They're barbecuing you.
Also, if people were trying to get a reservation for July 17th or 4th of July, those opened up this week.
They opened more up.
Yes.
I know our Eric didn't have one, finally got one. And we will be here. In fact, I should mention 4th of July here at Disneyland. If you're going to be here, we're going to do a noon MiceChat meetup. Walt and Mickey statue at noon on the 4th of July. Afterwards, for those who want to, we'll go find a place to have lunch. Likely to be a very busy day, so we probably won't ride any attractions, although we might, if the riverboat is running and doesn't have a huge queue, we might ride the riverboat. Maybe we'll walk through the castle for some really bad air conditioning. Mike, I have a feeling you'll find a way, even if you have to beam in via satellite.
I'm sure I'll find a way.
So there's a few new things for the 70th that have not launched already. They will launch on July 17th, Disneyland's 70th anniversary. One of those will be right here in the Main Street Cinema, where there is a tribute to the Sherman Brothers, who wrote so much of the music of the early Disney films that we absolutely love. They wrote the music for Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which was not a Disney film, but it was one of the favorite films of my youth. They did Winnie the Pooh. They did a lot of things, including for the parks, like It's a Small World. And the little film that they're going to show inside the cinema is about mostly a new verse to It's a Small World that Richard Sherman wrote before he passed away last year. And that's going to debut not just in this theater, but you'll be able to hear the actual song in the ride.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Do we know anything if it's just going to be Richard singing it?
I think it's the Children of the World singing
Oh.
it. So it sounds like the rest of the attraction, but you'll hear that final verse in the final room.
Uh-huh.
So we're hearing the first part of the script or the song in the earlier part of the ride. And like with the Christmas version of the ride where the final room has a different song, you'll hear the new final verse in the white room, the room where all the children have ascended to heaven.
The multiverse.
The multiverse. Somebody told me their theory for a small world that is, children are innocent and children all get along. Hello. But it's sort of a nuclear war reference that something horrible happens, then all the children sent to heaven, and that's why they're in white and gold. I choose to not think that's what the Imagineers actually did, but I could definitely see how they got there. Here at the Opera House is where the other big thing is happening, and Walt Disney A Magical Life is taking over from the Walt Disney story featuring Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. So right now, no Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. We'll have instead Walt Disney A Magical Life, and the exhibits in front of the theater, so before you go into the theater, also all new and inspired by the original lands of Disneyland plus New Orleans Square. So New Orleans Square was not opened with the park, but early enough, and they needed something for that final room. They have removed the Capitol model that used to be in there. That is now at the Walt Disney Archives. And instead, we're going to see things inspired by Fantasyland and Adventureland, Frontierland, and New Orleans Square, and Tomorrowland, of course, and including original sketches and concept art and ride vehicles and all kinds of cool things. There may be tiki birds in there, who knows? And there will also be original decor from Walt Disney's apartment on Main Street.
Nice.
Which is located just directly across from where we are. So you could go into the actual apartment if you do Walt's Main Street Story Tour, or see the original items from the Walt Disney Family Museum here inside the Opera House for free. Which will you do?
The free one.
I think Eric would choose the free one as well.
Although I do like going into Walt's Park.
Well, my friends, we have come to the end of a 1 hour and 12-minute long MiceChat Live here at Disneyland with our friends Mike and Suzanne and Eric and Ando. This is the point at which I would usually spin out of control. Eric is here with a churro. He's behind me. He's trying to figure out how to show you the churro, but I'm moving the camera around. So there he is. He got himself a churro. Were you shocked by the price of the churro?
I'm just ignoring it.
He's ignoring the price. So I'm encouraging the team. I would like you all to keep up with me as I spin out of control. You think you can do it? Mike is trying.
I'm trying.
Ando is not even trying. Eric's trying. He's going to catch up with us as we're spinning out of... And Suzanne is spinning. She's spinning the opposite direction like a runaway moon. Thank you for joining us. Please read MiceChat for the stories that you missed from today's live about the Coke and about all sorts of new things. You can make your own tiki bird. We'll tell you how on MiceChat.com. Bye, everybody. Ah!